Five.
Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate that. And welcome you to the December 8th, 2020 board meeting. We're going to start with a public hearing. And so we will begin with that. And so the first thing, and we'll go through a roll call. And Ed, why don't you start us off?
Okay, Ed Franklin.
Thank you.
Desiree Fowler, Board Clerk.
Thanks.
Sandra Kidman.
Good.
Dee McCary, members.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm Bob Candelaria, President of the School Board. And I need to have the interim superintendent please announce himself.
Jim Walker, interim superintendent.
Unmute.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Jim Walker, interim superintendent.
And it's good to have you here, Jim.
Thank you.
And we're joined by Lynn Hoffman, the executive assistant to the superintendent, and also the board. And for the rest of you that are part of this, thank you for being here. And I know we're going to hear from you throughout the evening, so thank you. So we'll start with a public hearing, and item is presentation of budget revision number 1 to the annual expenditure budget for the 2020-2021 school year. And Vindy, you've got the presentation. And by the way, heroic being here at the meeting in the midst of the whatever that is. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Walker. Today we're going to look at our first budget revision for the year. I'm going to share my screen here with you. So if you look at our general budget limit for our maintenance and operations fund, you'll see our revenue control limit is down by $1 million. This is due to a reduction in our ADM. We adopted the budget with the ADM of 2,400 approximately, and we today when we are revising the budget, it's at 2,100 approximately. So this is where we see a loss of about $1 million, but however, we did well. Our budget balance carry forward that we carried into this year from last year was $2.2 million approximately. My prediction was $1 million when we adopted the budget, as you can see, but however, our numbers today are $2.2 million after the annual financial report. So, and you'll see overall our general budget limit did decrease by about 75,000. We have captured that by moving some expenses into impact aid. And you'll also see that our tuition income is a little more than what we predicted it to be. Looks like we got a few more students coming in from Kane County. This is all reflected in your page 7 of the budget worksheets. And then here I have for you again the distribution of our budget, our MNO budget limit. Here you'll see it's pretty close to what we adopted the budget with. However, we see the decrease of 75,000 approximately in our budget, in the budget limit. This is the visual of what each of our budget line items looks like in a pie chart. So, and if you look at our impact aid budget, this is our the major funding source for the district. Here, you'll see that right off the bat, you'll notice that our budget balance carry forward, was predicted to be about $3.1 million, but we ended up gaining a little bit more. There, however, you'll see a reduction in the bottom line from $11 million to $10 million. This is where we adjusted the budget to be close to the dollar amount we'll be receiving for impact aid. This is why we are at the $10 million. However, if you look at this is your budget capacity, you have to remember, and your cash is pretty close, about the same that we've projected here. And you'll see the distribution and for salaries, benefits, and all the expenses. We've significantly cut our budget for furniture and equipment and impacted in the plan of saving and increasing our contingency cash balance within impact aid. Here too, I'm showing you the distribution in a chart. And then if you look at our district additional assistance, it did decrease by about $2,261. This is due to the reduction in our ADM that reflects within this DAR. So again, I'm giving you a brief summary of what our classroom site fund looks like. It stayed pretty close to when we adopted. Within the revision, there were no major changes, and we are still approximately giving a teacher about $7,100 out of this classroom. And special projects, you'll see it didn't have any. Here we've not captured any changes from when we adopted, but due to the timeline of uploading the budget to ADE, budget revision to ADE. When we revise the budget again in May, we will capture our ESG grant fund amount that's close to $1 million that we received. That's the and also our Stop School Violence grant. We will be capturing those grants under federal projects. We haven't done that because those allocations were not confirmed by the time we had to revise and upload the budget. Upload the hearing notification. I'm sorry, not the budget. So here is our food service. It's predicted at that $1.3 million, and our CTE caveat fund, it's at $620,000, as you can see. They're all reflected in your page 6 of the budget worksheets, and that brings us to the end. If you have any questions for me today.
Board members?
I have a question.
Yes, go.
Okay, so I just did some rough calculations, so you can tell me if I'm off. But it looks like to me that we're about $1.4 million less than what we expected. Where are we gonna, what is your recommendation, and where are we gonna cut this kind of amount of money?
Yes, ma'am. So the recommendations is we will be looking closely at staffing. Mr. Walker as well as Mr. Wallen, they're working together to look at what we need to cut when it comes to our certified staff. And that is the planning that we are gonna move into right after January, and before the end of this month. We'll be talking about those and having conversations of what how much we'll have to cut to capture this loss of ADM.
So what's the time frame on that?
So we're hoping to know that by, I'm pretty sure by end of January or beginning of by spring, we will definitely know what that looks like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
Where, can you show me where the impact aid is and the amount
Yes.
on what page?
If you can, I share in my shared screen, you'll see. It's on the worksheet, on our worksheet, it's page 6, but on the presentation.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, I found it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And can you just clarify, are there any other net in terms of picking up the 1.4 other than staffing?
Yes, Mr. Allen, had talked about us talking about energy saving plans and all that. We were just starting those conversations when he stepped out for a little bit. So sorry. Yeah. So we have already started those conversations. We couldn't really continue and share it all. Sorry, I should say he did. He did send out an email. We started those conversations.
And that was with Mid-States?
Not with Mid-State. Yes, it started with the Mid-State conversation, and that those meetings we had looking at the savings, and then also probably in.
Okay, I lost you the last, you cut out for just a second, sorry.
Sorry. So yes, after the Mid-State conversation, we've talked about implementing and strictly implementing that within school sites and wide. There are plans of energy conservation.
Okay.
Bob, can I add a comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what Mr. Wallen is doing is he's going to be taking a look at all areas of the district
Right.
budget. And one of those things that he's done right away is stop major purchasing on major items right now to try to stop the bleeding a little bit till we get to a better picture of where we're going to be at with not
Okay.
only this year, but forecasting where we're going to be at for next year.
Good. Yeah.
And what we're doing with staffing right now is having the discussion with principals and directors on what their staffing looks like and what it might need to be next year. And then we'll hand that off to Mr. Wallen when he gets back, and he can move on from there.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't just reflecting the staffing conversation and that the whole budget was being looked at. And I know we have asked for a presentation by Mid-States because this contract's been going, what, 3 years now, I think, or so, something like that. And so we're looking forward to that, I guess, update, if you will, because there were certain agreements that were made, and I don't know that we followed everything that we need to. And so that's going to be I think we have that set up for a work study session sometime in the near future. So, okay. Any other comments, board members, questions? Okay, not having any. Thank you very much, Vindy. And that concludes the public hearing at this point. And I'll have a call for the adjournment of the public hearing. That's an action item.
I make a motion to adjourn the public meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye and indicate by
Aye.
raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, very good. And as we head into our regular meeting, December 8th, 2020, I failed to mention the time we went into public hearing, but we'll go ahead and go into regular meeting at 5:18 p.m. And just wanted us to understand that concurrent with our regular meeting, we always have had a section of that, a call to the public, and this is no different, but I will make the information known. If anybody from the public would like to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of the board during this time, members of the public may submit public comments via email to comments@pageud.org no later than Monday by 5 p.m. the day before each regular meeting. And during a board meeting, we've always allowed 3 minutes per comment. If someone would want to address the board, that was when we were in live. So due to COVID, we've gone virtual, but we did want to make sure that public knew that they were invited to make comments nevertheless. So again, that address, comments@pageud.org no later than Monday by 5 p.m. the day before each regular meeting. And so with that, we'll begin our regular meeting again with a roll call. And Mr. Franklin, you're on the spot. Plus I'm gonna call on you for something. I see you when you are at your last meeting, you're gonna be the workhorse. Okay, I just want to let you know that right away.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, so start off with a roll call, please.
Ed Franklin, member.
Desiree Fowler, Board Clerk.
Stephen Carey, member.
Sandra Kidman?
And Bob Kenleary, President of School Board, and
Jim Walker, Interim Superintendent.
thank you. And we're joined by Lynn Hoffman, Executive Secretary to the Board and also to the Superintendent. And next, I'll ask you to join us in a moment of silent meditation. And let's go ahead and do that with us. Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Ed. All right.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the
to
flag
the flag
of the
United
United States
States of
America,
And
and to the republic
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty.
liberty
liberty and
and
justice
justice is for all.
for all.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, that's the agenda is an action item. I'll need a motion in a second to proceed.
I recommend to make a motion to approve the agenda for this regular meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next item is announcements and comments. And Ms. Fowler, could you read our statement?
Public comments, I'm sorry. Public complaints concerning facility service personnel and instructions are not heard by the board until the district's due process procedures are followed. Forms for filing complaints are available at the superintendent's office. To address the board, please fill out a blue card and give to the superintendent. The board reserves the right to limit public comments due to time restriction. And just kind of update that we have our public complaints that are being emailed to the district, correct?
Complaints or comments? And we accept only those things that say how great the board is. No. All right. We have several comments that have come in. And so I'll go ahead and read those. And this one is to PUSD Board and Administration. Greetings. Please accept this letter as a plea to reconsider the cancellation of Page Sandoval basketball season. The AIA has rescheduled the season to begin in January, and I feel this decision has been reached prematurely. My name is Florinda Tracy, and I am the mother to Nev Redhair. She is a senior at Page High School. Nev has been a part of the Page High School athletics since her freshman year. Sports have been a vital part of her adolescent upbringing. Her participation has developed a sense of discipline, focus, and camaraderie. As you know, the Lady Sandals have won state championships 2 times over the past 3 years. Girls have made us parents proud, along with a large supportive community. The particular group of girls have been playing together since elementary school. There is a consensus within our group of parents and players that this season is important in maintaining mental and physical well-being. We strongly believe the girls should be able to finish what they started. During these unprecedented times, they have shown resilience and a continued commitment to sports and academics. I'm writing this letter to stand behind them and declare my full support. As a healthcare professional, I have seen all spectrums of this pandemic. Teenagers have mostly dealt with mental health complications, and it would be detrimental to take away what they have worked so hard for. We fully respect the guidelines set forth by the AIA to protect our student athletes. I would be willing to volunteer my time and effort to ensure these safety measures. As a family, we have discussed different scenarios, understand all the risks associated with Nev participating in sports this winter. We're confident that our student athlete will be compliant and safe on all levels, not limited to frequent hand washing, hand washing, face masks, and relative social distancing. As parents, we are available to assist in whatever capacity. I do recognize that all families may not agree with our stance. I would hope that as an organization, that there would be a collaborative approach to consider both sides and ultimately allow families to decide what is best. With great respect, Florinda Tracy. Okay, that's one of the comments submitted. Next comment, I write this letter to sports student, academic, and athletics with Page High School. It's been challenging during the pandemic, and our students are home with none to little interactions to interact academically and continue to look forward to participating in high school sports. I trust that PUSD will continue to follow and implement CDC guidelines to ensure safety protocols that implemented in the school safety plan and establish precautionary steps for temperature checks, educating school-wide community members of the local, state, and national health procedures. I encourage PUSD administration to allow student athletes to participate in winter sports and trust with cooperation. All measurable guidelines are reviewed along with AIA recommendations to provide the school the opportunity to showcase local talents with the talent and skills student athletes possess. A greater chance for recruitment is beneficial for scholarship opportunities to further education. Thank you for taking the time to read my letter of support and respect your decision during this challenging time. Cordially, Justice M. Beard. Another one goes, this one is maybe a little longer. I'll try to get through quicker. I don't think, I think I went through these and they're not too far away from the 3-minute time. As parents of Jonah Holiday, a senior at the Page High School varsity boys basketball team, we would like to ask PUSD, school board, Page High School principals, and athletic directors to reconsider a proposal to cancel the 2021 basketball season. It's with great admiration that we applaud PUSD staff and administrators for taking proactive measures to keep our children and communities safe. It is with the same precautionary measures that we have suggest the basketball season can continue for the winter season. The sport can be safer for athletes, coaches, and families when games and practices are planned within national, state, and local health guidelines. We as parents agree that safety is important, and for that reason, we are willing to take extra steps. For instance, support education on COVID-19 prevention for athletes and coaches, quarantine within our own family and limit our own travel, limit the number of spectators at events, conduct temperature checks before each event, complete COVID-19 tests or screenings as necessary, isolate and communicate any positive family members, donate cleaning and disinfectant supplies for equipment or facilities, donate hand sanitizer supplies for athletes, coaches, spectators, transport our own children to and from practices or games, wear a mask at all events and practices, limit the number of games to only varsity level competition, and follow any recommendations for youth sports on COVID-19 safety and prevention. To model, we suggest the use of similar safety protocols and guidelines of current basketball tournaments being conducted throughout the state of Arizona. They're conducted throughout the state. And then I'll just go ahead in this letter. Lastly, our children have been impacted greatly by the pandemic and has created a mental and emotional health crisis among our kids. The lack of social interactions, disconnect with friends, and not being among their peers has caused many of the children to struggle academically and emotionally. With the increased anxiety, frustration, and stress, our children have become emotionally distressed and fallen into depression. To counter, we as parents have been doing our best to keep them physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy, but it can only go so far. Sports and other extracurricular activities have been healthy outlets for our children, and without them, for our children, especially the seniors, they feel forgotten. We agree we need to be safe, and with that said, we should be open to adapting to our current situation and coming together to think of ways to support our children in the time of need. In summary, we understand COVID-19 positivity rate is at the moderate level for Coconino County, and the rate for the Page area is even less. These rates could change from week to week, and with AIA organization moving the basketball season 2 weeks later, provides communities additional time to reduce their spread of COVID-19. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our concerns and ideas to address the health of children. We support everyone's choice to choose that their children should play, and we respect those decisions. We're here to team up with school to help our children thrive and overcome our current challenges. Feel free to reach out to us, and we would be happy to provide any feedback or suggestions. Thank you again for your consideration and support. Go Sand Devils. Kind regards, Preston and Brooke Holiday. Couple more. I'm the father of 2 exceptionally talented student athletes. One is a sophomore, the other is a junior at Page High School. With most recent news of the potential cancellation of 2021 basketball season, I feel compelled to plead a case on behalf of not just my two daughters, but to speak for all the other student athletes and that could possibly be affected by this decision. Athletics is not the end all for these students, but it is a great tool in developing life skills and social skills. It is also a means of access to higher education for many of them. I understand the times we're living in with COVID-19 and steps that are being taken to prevent and protect us all, but there is a protocol in place that can be used to protect the athletes, parents, and the fans. There is testing, cleaning, and sterilization that can be done by parental volunteers. I'm not a resident of Page, but from the statistics I've gathered, the positive results from testing is not as high as in other parts of the region. We could limit play to just varsity players, also limit teams to 10 student athletes on a team. From my understanding, there are many seniors on the team that this is their final year to showcase their talents for college teams and scouts. I would hate to be a part of taking those dreams and aspirations away from these young adults. I hope that we can all come to some resolution that is beneficial to the student athletes at the same time, safely putting everyone's well-being and health at the forefront. I'm positive that with the brilliant minds in Page school system and the loving parents, friends, family, and fans, we can come to an agreement that will allow these young adults to participate in the sport that they love so much. Thank you for your time, and I hope you take these suggestions into consideration before making the tough decision. I believe this is the last one. I have varied kids in the district. No, I have varied in the district as a teacher, volunteer football coach, and substitute in 5 out of the last 7 years, and have been fortunate to watch students from preschool to PHS grow. I am so amazed at the positive impact sports has on an entire community. The youth awareness of PHS athletics is particularly striking. Often 2nd through 8th graders talk about their favorite Sand Devil athletes and seek to emulate them. The local media coverage from Page radio stations and Sports Zone Radio have been monumental for the region. There is a group of girls who are very hungry to play that they are currently traveling to Phoenix every weekend to participate in club basketball tournaments. Incidentally, they won their tournament yesterday against many NCAA Division I prospects from 6A Phoenix schools. They appear that they'll play through the pandemic following strict CDC COVID guidelines in any way possible. Their preference is to compete for PHS. I have heard that many boys are in the same situation as well. As we know, the urging for the willing players to receive the opportunity to play is also being expressed by numerous parents. Perhaps a potential scenario could offer a point of discussion, if at all. Close the gym to fans and Page for home games, utilize technology, prowess of KXAZ radio, Page and Sports Zone Radio to Sholo to broadcast games to the region. The communities of Northern Arizona and particularly the Navajo Nation would delight in following the Sand Devil basketball virtually. It would be a treat for Page and the tens of thousands of regional supporters to connect with the local basketball magic that is in the air. We fully respect and appreciate the measures being taken to protect the health and safety of our students, staff, and families. Observing the successes and failures of the NBA and other professional, collegiate, and high school sports in this time of intense danger, we hope there is some sort of compromise and availability for the determined student athletes to engage in essentially their favorite extracurricular activity. Their lifelong passion for the game of basketball, their collective mental well-being will greatly benefit. Their families are willing and able to support in any fashion imaginable. Thank you very much for your service and consideration. Yours truly, Ryan Tracy. And wait a minute, I think we have one more. This one we didn't get because of a technical issue, but I think we are able to pick it up. So I just got a copy of it. I'm writing this on behalf of my daughter, Francine Aaron Keone. Francine's a senior on the Page High School varsity girls basketball team. And Franny has been playing the last 3 years and so proud that she's a Sand Devil. I want to first start by thanking PUSD educators, administration, board members, athletics, and staff for the hard work and dedication action that you have endured during this time of pandemic. We know all the struggles and challenges that we have had to face and have made it our responsibility to get through this pandemic in a safe manner. During this time, as parents, we have seen our children make changes and adapt to ongoing changes since March 2020. I've seen the hardships my children face each day with the lack of social interaction, athletics, and not being among their peers. Athletics is a way of our children to relieve any stressors, not to become depressed, and a way to express pride that they have in their school, community, and family. We've all seen athletics bring support to all, and as a parent coming into Page community, we have been welcomed by all. I understand that with this pandemic, there are many concerns, issues, and questions that arise with allowing our child to play. We have questions every day. This pandemic is teaching us to adapt and change with the new normal. Change is good, but we want to change to benefit our kids. That helps them with accomplishments, reaching educational goals, and also doing this in a safe manner that is compliant with all required school, county, state guidelines. We also are aware of the AIA guidelines, which we can abide by. Our kids have been participating in summer and fall programs and have traveled to Phoenix to participate in competitions. We've seen the manner in how these organizations have expressed and communicated all the safety precautions in order for our child to play. I know that we as parents, our athletes, can take the precautionary measures in safeguarding our athletes in 2020-2021 season. We can volunteer, donate, and take the time to assist the school in providing a safe environment for all. COVID has changed our lives so much, and our children are playing with little interaction with peers and educators, depression and anxiety. We know this will continue if we keep setting our children up for roadblocks. These roadblocks can be avoided with ongoing education, screenings, proper safety measures, and adhering to all AIA and state health guidelines. We can accomplish this, and as parents, we can monitor and provide support and guidance with the school. Please consider my letter and support the choices of all parents who have and had children playing as well. We can make this safe for children and our community. Thank you for your time. Go Sand Devils respectfully, Judy Keone. And okay, those are all the comments that have been made. And so we'll move on to the special business. And the first one is recognition of Page Unified School District Employee of the Month. And I have got the distinct honor of doing that. And I am excited to announce the recipient of the November recipients. The certified pride recipient is Corey Fitch. Big applause. Yay, 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 everybody. Stand up if you're listening to this and go yee-haw. And so the pride recipient is Corey Fitch. She's an alternative education teacher at Manson Mesa High School, nominated by Chestina Jutras, I believe that's how you pronounce it, SPED behavior teacher at Manson Mesa High School, and Joanna Adekai, math teacher. And this is what they say about Corey. She's a prime example of pride. She is always positive, even during these challenging times. Our team can always count on Corey. She goes above and beyond for her students, making sure she adapts to their needs virtually and in person. She also goes about and beyond for her staff as well. We always can count on Corey to have the answers to our sometimes annoying questions. We are so glad that Corey is here at Manson Mesa. She is definitely the glue that holds us together. Corey has developed lesson plan templates for us teachers at MMS, and she has gone out of her way to ensure each student is successful in her classroom and still challenges them at the same time. She always has great input during our PLC meetings. She is always willing to collaborate with teachers to come up with new and exciting lessons for each subject, not just her own. Corey Fitch, you are the Certified Employee of the Month of November 2020. Hands up, way to go, Corey. Thank you so much for all you do. And we'll have this wonderful certificate. It's got this gold, I don't think it's 20 karat, but it's got this nice little seal on here and a real nice certificate that you can hang on your wall. And this means you can never coast again because you set a really high standard. So you got to go up from here. Nice job, Corey. All right, next is the Classified Pride recipient. And that it goes to Mr. William Bill Tresh, lead custodian, nominated by Rainey Goodson and Tawny Schultz. William Bill Tresh, way to go. Man, I've seen you around here a lot, and you keep this place humming, clean, sanitized. You do a great job, and it's been recognized. You are the Classified Employee of the Month, November 2020. And this is what Rainey had to say about you. I am nominating Bill Tresh for Pride Employee of the Month because his behind-the-scenes efforts make our school a welcoming place. He demonstrates commitment to ensuring our students have a clean, comfortable, and functional environment to work and learn in. He is dedicated to supporting his colleagues so their rooms and workspaces are up and running. For example, this summer he made sure my entire computer and workspace completely set up, even though it was not his responsibility. He did this for many others, not just for me. Some may say he was just doing his job, which is true, but it's the way in which he goes above and beyond. It's the way in which he is calm and polite, no matter the circumstances, the way in which he does more than is required. Bill is exceptional because he also has taken on classes, coaches, and he also motivates the team at PMS to meet expectations. That was from Rainey Godson. And one more, the recognition from Tawny Schultz. Ms. Schultz said this: Bill consistently helps everyone around him. His focus is on making sure our school is a welcoming and clean environment. Bill makes sure that any staff member that needs help with gathering items for their rooms, such as tables and chairs, is done almost immediately. Whenever he feels like our classrooms were not taken care of to the full extent, he makes sure that we know why and ensures if our room needs additional attention, it is taken care of the following day. He is always in a great mood and is sure to ask how you are doing. Regardless of the constant changes of the school year, Bill has adapted our school to what is needed. This also included changes in classrooms around to best fit for students, regardless of the request I have for Bill. He makes sure my classroom has what it needs and is in a timely manner. Even if I've changed my mind again, without complaining at all, he will move or rearrange what I need. He goes above and beyond for my classrooms and the space I have created for the students. He will follow up, and he'll follow up with you regarding concerns to ensure they are taken care of. He really makes my classroom better. He's taking care about my classroom as far as even watering my plants. I'm beyond grateful for all of his help. He is also a positive role model for the students and reminds them that a positive attitude is key. He demonstrates this attitude on a daily basis. He truly has a passion for our students, and I believe they know he cares. Thank you, Bill. William Tresh, you are the certified classified employee of the month in November 2020. And again, thank you. And we just echo all the comments from Rainey and Tawny, and you will get this lovely certificate as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Tresh. All right, those are the employees of the month, and now I'll turn it over to, I believe, Ms. Sandra Kidman, and hopefully you have those in front of you, Sandra, and you get the great privilege of talking about some of our best students at Page Unified School District.
Thank you, Bob. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We'll start with Lakeview Primary. And Marina Wright was nominated by her first grade teacher, Jan Fair, because she's always cheerful and friendly, a hard worker and focused. She's a good example of Lakeview school pride. She is positive in her attitude. She looks at the bright side of things. She is respectful in how she speaks and treats others with kind words and actions. She's involved because she looks, listens, and responds in class discussion and classwork, and includes her classmates in activities. She is determined and puts forth her best effort, and she's excellent in her approach to school and life. She's a leader and aspiring to one day be a teacher because she loves to help others. Good job. Very exciting.
Marina, you are the definition of pride. My, oh my. Thank you so much.
All right. Then we'll move over to Desert View Intermediate. Emmeline Wishman is the student of the month there. She was nominated by her fifth grade teacher, Joyden Brown. Emma is a very dedicated and hardworking student who always logs in on time for school. She completes and submits all her assignments and participates very well in class. She has been very consistent in her work and continues to maintain a high standard. Emmeline does her best at all times and uses her time very wisely. There's never a dull moment in class with Emma around, and it's a pleasure to teach and work with Emmeline.
Emmeline, keep up the great work. Great job.
Okay. All right, then now we go to Page Middle School. Shandine Gatewood is the middle school student of the month. Shandine is an 8th grade student at Page Middle School and was nominated because she is always on task, involved, and completes her assignments. She also has excellent attendance and grades. Very good job.
Way to go, Shandine. You're getting ready to bring it all to Page High School as well. Keep it up.
All right, now we come to Page High School. And the student of the month at Page High School is Tristan Conley. He was nominated by Mrs. Gaylor because he is a kind and welcoming person in my advisory class. When there are low numbers attending our class, Tristan got involved and took it upon himself to email the entire class, inviting them to join us in the advisory period. This caused quite a few more to come to our next class, and we had a blast getting to know one another. Tristan has also maintained high honors throughout his first semester of 9th grade. He is involved in AVID, which helps him work hard and achieve his goal of attending a 4-year university after high school. Thank you, Tristan, for demonstrating the Sand Devil way. You rock.
Way to go, Tristan. You're on your way. 4-year university, keep that in mind.
All right, that brings us to Manson Mesa High School. Savannah Dack was nominated by her teacher, Corey Fitch-Adams, because she has only been with us for a few weeks, but she has done an outstanding job modeling the learning approaches and behaviors we wish we could get from all our students. She's attentive, helpful, and always engaged in class instruction, willing to be the first one called on or to answer questions at a moment's notice. She's a teacher's dream to have in class. She volunteers for activities and leadership roles outside of class and is respectful to teachers and students alike, willing to include and befriend anyone she meets. Our school is fortunate to have her as a student as long as she will be here in Page.
Great job, Savannah.
And then I think for the first time I'm seeing this is a student of the month from our newest school in Page Unified, which is our Sage and Sand Virtual Academy. So here it goes. Alexandra Kojin was nominated as a student of the month for our Virtual Academy, and she was nominated by her 6th grade teacher, Mr. Spencer Kimball. Lexi has demonstrated that she's a hard worker who has made a persistent effort to complete all of her assignments. She's always punctual to log into the Google Meet class. She's willing to demonstrate her work for the class and will volunteer to share her screen in order to show her work to the class. She accepts feedback to help improve music composition and incorporates it into her work. She goes above and beyond in school activities outside of class. She's willing to help other students and be a model student to others. She is cheerful and positive and goes out of her way to say kind things. It's a privilege as a teacher to work with Alexandra.
Way to go, Alexandra. A lot of claps. Way to go. And first ever. That's a monumental day in history that'll go down in history. December the 8th, 2020. You were first. All right. Very good. Congratulations to all you students. Keep it up. And next on the agenda is donations made to the district. And let's see, it says on the agenda, but there is one, I think, and I'll read it and then we'll need a motion in a sec to accept a check in the amount of $1,000 donated by St. David's Episcopal Church to the Friday Food Backpack Program. And in order to accept that, I'll need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion that the board accept the listed donation.
Thank
I
you.
second that motion.
A motion and a second. And any comments or from the board at all? I'll just say a real big thank you to St. David's. I believe they've been really one of the regulars in supporting the Friday Food Backpack Program. So thank you so much, St. David's. And with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. And let's move to governing board reports. And who wants to start us off? I know who wants to start us off. It's Ed.
Not a whole lot to share, but I would like to make this comment that it has been a pleasure over the past few years to serve with this team and to serve this community in supporting the school board system. I've seen some great things during the time frame with the amount of dedication that this team has and that the teachers have also to the students here. And that's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Okay, who's next? Anybody have anything they'd like to mention? Okay, let me go next. And I was going to just give a really nice thank you to Ed for your service, Mr. Franklin. I've always appreciated the diversity of the board, and when you came on the board, boy, you changed our diversity. No, you brought an incredible level of professionalism. You brought your literally your strength of suit with regard to how you have dealt with and managed HR for Banner, and we got to see that in action throughout your tenure here. And it's again just been a pleasure to get to know you and see your passion for kids. I saw you at sporting events and other events, musical events, and all that kind of stuff, those type of things, and just really become part of the PUSD community. And so again, just really been a pleasure to get to know you, and I'm sure we will not have seen the last of you. All right, but thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. And then the other thing is, I was attended virtually the ASBA conference, and that was fun. And within the first hour, I think we had two 15-minute technical issues. So Brian, thank you for what you do. We've had a little bit here, but man, it happens with the professional outfits as well. And there were several really tremendous presentations that I want to get more information on, and we'll talk a little bit more about it hopefully in our work study sessions. But so much about equity, so much about how the virtual community has changed, and the messages that we hear is it has changed. It's changed for the better because you learn how to use technology in a much better way, and that's what was a lot of focus. But also dealing with much of the same things that we deal with in terms of the trauma that has been introduced into the communities. And once again, it's not restricted to one community or another. It's everybody involved here. And there's an awful lot of work going on by folks that deal with psychological things and the things that we see with our kids and with our teachers and with our staff and those kind of things. So everybody's is in this together, and that's really what I heard an awful lot of. And then also the function with kids that are having a hard time hanging on, and there's a lot of resources coming to that and different approaches in terms of curriculum and those kind of things. So that was a really good experience. And also I want to recognize one of our own, Des is really something. She jumps in the middle of things, and she is not just there. She is a participant, and I heard her name mentioned for two major positions, and you had to be thrown out of one of them in order to assume the other one. So she was on, the head of the Coconino County Assembly for school board, and then we had it announced that she was also then appointed to, and you're going to have to help me because I forget the exact, but she's at the top of the rung in the ASBA board of directors. And so they said, you can no longer serve at Coconino. So you've gotten too big for your britches, Des. That's all there is to it. But congratulations. That's quite an honor. And I know that you'll represent not only Paige, but all of the students across the state in that way. So, but congratulations for that. That's all I had to say. And do you have anything you want to say? And I don't want any of these acceptance speeches or anything else, but you have anything else you'd like to? If elected, yeah, okay, really good. I'll call a point of order. You start doing it.
No, I just want to thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Start off by thanking Ed. I think you have been one of the first candidates that has just been on the go of being doing your election process and so forth, just within the short time that you've been on the school board. But I appreciate your presence and willingness to be able to do the advocacy that you have done for the past few years as a member of the school board. Thank you for that. And I appreciate getting to know you and also the professionalism that you bring with your HR experience. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I do want to mention that I did get a chance to attend the ASBA 63rd ASBA annual conference virtually. That was very, very interesting. And in that first 15 minutes that you're
Yeah,
talking about, I
right.
say that Coconino County was definitely represented. We had our
Yeah.
very own Kira Knightley, Kira, I almost said Kira Knightley, Kira, oh my goodness, from Flagstaff Unified School District. She is previously was the Coconino County director. And then they had asked me also to represent Coconino County. So I did our introduction in Navajo, and I also did one in English, basically saying welcome to Coconino County. So we were in the introduction 3 times, so that was fun. Um, Secondly, you did mention everything that I think we were able to, I was able to attend some of the breakouts about equity and just all the things that are currently happening with remote learning, hybrid learning, so forth, and much so about self-care. And I must say, I really enjoyed our um, guest speaker, DJ Eagle Bear, is that his name?
Mhm.
Yes. And I also attended the extended portion of his presentation. He talks a lot about his experience with his own culture and integrating that into his self-care work, and also just, motivating people and understanding the different barriers of stress level, and also how to overcome and to be mindful about all, different situations. So that was very unique. I really appreciated his presentation, and just reflecting back to, the basics of the culture. And for me, I was just like, okay, it really comes back, and there was some correlations with our the net culture. So it was pretty unique. I really enjoyed his presentation. We also had our last Hispanic, or my last Hispanic Native American caucus meeting as a chairperson. That was pretty amazing. I am excited that I continue my work as the immediate past president for the next 2 years with the caucus. And one of the cool things that the caucus passed was to eliminate the $25 membership. And now all you need to do is go right into the ASBA website and sign up with the HNAIC caucus. And, it's just a paper um, registration. And that's also the same with the Black Alliance and the Rural Alliance as well, too. So we do have our work cut out for us, but we have five new representatives. So with the caucus, every 2 years we have a Native American representative, and once that representative, meets their 2-year term, then they bring in a Hispanic representative, and so they rotate as the chairperson. And this individual chair has a representation at the board of directors seat. So that's very unique. I thought that just kind of looking at the weight of the Hispanic or any of the caucus alliance chair versus the board of directors, the caucus and alliance actually do more work than the board of directors. Great insight, great information representing the state of Arizona Hispanic Native American caucus for the board of directors. I had a good 2-year run with them. And so now, again, looking forward to working with them. And as Bob had mentioned, I did also decide to, well, I did decide to run for board of directors as the Coconino County director, but I also wanted to challenge myself and see if I could actually run for the executive board secretary position, because the executive board position is pretty much the introduction, or I'm sorry, the entrance position to the board of directors for treasurer, president-elect, president, and immediate past president. So it is my understanding that the veterans of the Hispanic, Native American, Indian caucus have tried to bring on a Native American representative to actually go through the leadership and be selected as the president for the executive board, and that has not happened. So not getting too far ahead of myself, but I feel like with this executive board, I would be representing on behalf of on behalf of Northern Arizona. If you look back at the 4 years looking back at the 4 years that I've served as a board member for the Page Unified School District, we've never had any representation from Northern Arizona, Native American, and also rural communities or rural schools in Northern Arizona. It's always been about the Great Maricopa or Southern Arizona that's being represented. So my thing was, I'm going to challenge myself and see what I can do and help our Northern Arizona schools. So long and behold, I was one of 6 candidates to run for the secretary position, and I went head to head with another gal from Tempe Union High School. I had 16 votes and she had 14 votes. So we went head to head, and I got 73% of the votes from school board delegate representatives. And then the other lady had 37% of the vote. So thank you for that. And I look forward to my fun work ahead of me.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That's all you got? Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Des. And again, congratulations. And now we'll hear from our interim superintendent, Jim Walker. Oh, I'm sorry, Dee. I didn't see you way
Yeah.
up there. You're sitting
Yes.
on the high podium. All
Oh,
right, Dee.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also attended the annual conference as well. And looking at the whole agenda on what Bob and Des has reported was just really awesome on those workshops. The one that I was mainly very much interested was the rural connection, having to do with what we're going through right now. And I wanted to kind of cross-reference the different line items that they presented. And I kind of went through my reports, or reports that had been given on what Page Unified had gone through. And I was just kind of real pleased looking at where we're at with the connectivity during our pandemic process. And it really shows and it amplifies the issues that we are all faced with our neighboring communities because of lack of internet. And we had to utilize the Wi-Fi on the buses, which really support it. And I'm kind of most interested in the near future with the list that I listed to help us better gauge where we're at, and maybe eventually in the near future that we get a full report on the connectivity and the working relationship with the communities, and then also the teachers, what are they faced with. So I'd like to see more of the devices on how much is being offered to the teachers and the training thus far. So just really learned a lot from the impact of learning with this new innovative solutions on where our children are at and what the teachers are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dee. All right, now I think we're ready to hear from our interim superintendent, Jim Walker. If you have something you'd like to share with the group.
Oh, thanks, Bob. I'd just like to share some good news. Superintendent Wallen is back at home. Had a chance to spend about an hour talking to him this afternoon and getting ready for the board meeting tonight. And he looks good, sounds good, and I think he has a goal of being back in early January. So he's making a nice recovery.
That's great news. You didn't mention he's got a different look.
He does.
I mean, he's like glowing now. I don't know what that's about.
He's
but
working
you'll
towards
see
Santa
it for yourself.
Claus. He's got a Santa Claus look going.
Yeah, but no, it's just really exciting to hear him and Lillian. They got out last week, and so they're just getting better and better. So, yep. Great, thank you, Jim. There's no unfinished business, and then so the next thing on the agenda is the governing board consent agenda. Des.
Sorry about that. Hold on. A copy of the consent agenda is available at the District Administration Office. All items listed will be considered as a unit by the Governing Board and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item.
Okay. Again, I'll need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on, calendar of events. You have one in front of you, and I see three things next on the horizon: the Christmas break, and then coming back with a board meeting in January and work study sessions. So I don't think anybody has anything to add to that. We're good. So we can move on to the additional agenda items. And we'll start with the first one, approval and adoption of the first revision to the annual expenditure budget for 2020-2021 school year. This is an action item. We'll need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the AFR as presented by Vendy.
Okay, I think we had a second by Ed. Is that correct? Okay, we have a motion and a second.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Candelaria, it was the budget revision.
Okay, I see it. Can I?
Thank you, Ms. Des. Thanks.
Yes. I make a motion to approve and adopt the first budget revision to the annual expenditure budget for the 2020-2021 school year as presented by Vendy.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll second the motion.
All right, and so we do have the motion and the second. Any further comments or discussion? Okay, we had the presentation earlier, and we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. Next item is item B, and it's entitled Page Unified School District's Winter Program, and we did get a recommendation action from Mr. Wallen. That was to, and the motion would be, and I will make the motion, proceed with a basketball for boys and girls and soccer in the winter, and then make a decision later on wrestling. So that was the recommendation. And so I need a motion and a second to proceed with discussion. I need a second, actually.
I second that motion.
Okay, so we do have the motion and the second. Again, the motion was proceed with basketball for girls and boys, and then also soccer, and then wait
Bob?
on wrestling. Yes. Yes, Sandra.
Could you repeat that, please? Because you guys froze up on me.
Okay, sorry
I
about
couldn't
that.
hear anything. So
Yeah, the motion that
no,
was
that's, I don't,
the motion. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, the motion that was made was to proceed with basketball, boys and girls, and soccer for the winter season, and then wait on the decision for wrestling. So that was a motion. We do have a second.
Okay,
And
thank
so
you.
now-
I just,
Okay. No,
all of
you
a sudden
bet.
everything froze. Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much. And so now we do have a motion and second, and Mr. Rivers, you're on.
Governing Board, President Candelaria, Mr. Walker, Ms. Hoffman, thank you for the opportunity to present to you. It's been an interesting year, to say the least, with the cancellation of fall sports and then the reinstatement of our cross-country team, which I feel Mr. Martin and the kids did a phenomenal job with. Now we're at this point, the AIA just kind of updates you on the most recents for the AIA. So that way you have a little bit of history of where we're coming from. AIA has met multiple times, almost on a weekly basis, with their medical advisory committee. They call it SMAC, Sports Medical Advisory Committee. their executive board and also all of their staff members to develop recommendations and modifications to sports moving forward. They've also chosen to push back the first competition of winter athletics till January 6th. The original date was supposed to be on November 30th. Then it got pushed back a week, and then eventually it's been pushed back well over a month. Now, practices at this point are being left up to the individual schools. The majority of the schools throughout the state, except for the Navajo Nation for the most part, has started athletics completely with the recommendations and the modifications put in place moving forward. And in having a conversation with Mr. Wallen earlier, he feels that for us to have our students participate, it would certainly benefit them socially, emotionally, mentally. It would give them the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than they are. When we did see our cross-country team return, initially we ran grade report, and 13 of the 15 student athletes were ineligible due to academics, anywhere from 1 or 2 classes that they were failing all the way up to 8. By the time the state competition took place, every single student athlete was clear except for one who had 8 Fs originally 2.5 weeks prior, and he was down to only 1, and it brought his grade up to a 37, which was better than the 9% that he originally started with. And unfortunately, a few days later, he had that grade also up, but even though he wasn't able to participate. And so I had a meeting with the 3A leadership today throughout the state. Moving forward, there are, of the soccer programs, 55 of the 60 programs are participating. 3 of those programs are not participating for numbers. The other 2, I'm not aware of the reasoning for that. Of the 42 teams for basketball at this point, there are 37 of those teams that will be participating moving forward. The 5 teams that are not are part of the 3A North, and again, are on the Navajo Nation. So that gives you a little bit of background. Wrestling, we're hopeful. We're trying to be as optimistic as we possibly can to be able to have even a discussion about having a wrestling program. But at this point, we feel like, in talking with the coach, that at this point, we'd like to postpone making a decision on that, as it won't affect, and we're not mandated at this point to make that decision. They would like that decision by Friday, but also our student athletes do not need to wrestle in order to qualify for postseason. They can simply qualify for postseason. And so that is a brief history of where we are currently with AI athletics and activities.
Okay. Any folks have any questions for Mr. Rivers? Yeah, Des.
Just out of curiosity, what will the roster, as far, I mean, just the calendar of basketball games look like? Is that also, I guess it's a 2-part question. Is that including freshmen, JV, and of course our varsity players for basketball?
So in reaching out to other communities in the area, I reached out to Holbrook, to their former athletic director, Paul DeMuth, and had that conversation with him because I was curious on what his numbers look like. The first day of practice, they normally get about 70 students for each program. And he only got 22 students for the boys team and 26 out, which mirrors what their attendance has been through when they have been in-person learning. They're only getting about 30% attendance of their students, which is similar to what ours are. I did a survey about a month ago, and the responses, there was about 24, 26 individuals for girls basketball that responded that they would play. There was about the same amount for girls soccer. Boys soccer was significantly less. It was only like 8 or 9 that responded. And boys basketball was also less. There was only about 12. Now, granted, there was only about 160 responses out of the 750 to 800 students we currently have. So I did email it out multiple times to our cohorts for those responses. So I guess a long answer short is we're not sure moving forward. I know that when we returned for some workouts, I had a conversation with the coaches prior to Thanksgiving in regards to what we felt like we could support moving forward at that point. And again, if we move forward as recommended, I have a conversation tomorrow with those coaches. At this point, moving forward, it was determined for safety and for practice facilities that are available to us, because normally we have 4 gyms at the high school that we can utilize. 2 of those are currently being used for the on-site. That we felt that we would not support a freshman program this year. We would only go with a varsity and JV. That would also fall in line with safety protocols for buses. We currently can put 46 students on a Spirit bus or 56 on a big yellow bus, but we obviously don't want to pack that. And so we would limit at least a 50% capacity or less. If this passes, we'll have to determine transportation and what those type of things would look like. So that's one of the questions answered. The second one is, in talking to the leadership today, our season wouldn't start until the week of January 11th. So we would have 1 week when we return to from the holiday to continue with practices. Our student athletes would need 14 practices in order to be eligible to compete. So obviously we've got less than a month until that point. So it would be crucial to get those athletes cleared. The schedule would be as follows for basketball. We would be placed in the North Central region, which encompasses Fountain Hills, Chino Valley, Camp Verde, and the 5th school kind of escapes my mind, but there would be 5 schools, and then we would have 8 region games. They would give us 2 additional region games. So it would be probably a 10-game season, maybe a 12-game season at the most. They will allow us up to 20, but I don't think that makes sense. That would be 3 games a week, which I think is too much. And so it would be approximately 2 games a week. And then the week of February 15th would be a open week to make up any possible canceled games. And then the playoff game would begin on the 19th. Soccer would be similar, except for there would probably be only 8 games scheduled instead of the full complement of 14. And they would probably start that week of 11th as well. And they play about 2 games a week, and they would finish the week prior to basketball. Those exact dates, I believe the 13th was when their last game would be. No, the 13th was when their playing game would be. So their last game would probably be around the weekend. No, 13th is the last day and then the following week would be when they would have their playoffs that would start. So we would run a modified season, approximately 60% of what we would normally play. And they would probably be all region games versus freedom games as well. There will not any scrimmages this year, and there will not be any tournaments in an effort to limit overnight stays and travel and exposure that would take place.
Would you be coming up with a schedule on what you just shared with us?
And so
And how soon?
the 3A leadership meeting actually is waiting on us in order to put that schedule together. That schedule will be out as early as the next 2 days to be put out. That will be developed by the 3A leadership. Each region has someone that is developing that schedule. Our developer of that schedule is David Ennis down at Northwest Christian, and he will be the one that schedules the soccer and the basketball programs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
What would right, so let's say we have a home game. Are parents and visitors allowed to watch these games in our gymnasium? Or what is that going to look like?
So there would be no in-person spectators whatsoever. It would be necessary personnel only, which in essence would be myself, my assistant, and the scorekeepers and the trainer. That would be it. I had some preliminary conversations with our IT department, Brian Ostrink. I've also talked with CTE and even talked with some other individuals on how we can be creative so that we can film our games and we can broadcast them through YouTube, and we can also broadcast them through FaceTime. There's other services out there that are paid services, but I want to do everything I can to avoid that because our community, I know how much they support our programs and want to give them that opportunity. And soccer would be identical. There would be no spectators allowed at this point. AIA in the fall allowed the schools to determine that. And there were enough concerns of people not following the rules and the protocols put in place that they've eliminated that control from the local school district. And they're hopeful that by state tournament, maybe they'll be permitted at that point. But moving through the regular season, there would be no in-person attendance, unfortunately, by anybody.
Mr. Rivers, I really like the plan that you have put together and the idea without having any spectators, and it really limited the risk for our students. And that's a plus at the same time since there's no in-person school. So I think you have a great plan.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And we've had a dry run of this in the 2 weeks and where we were able to have our workouts. The safety protocols were in place, taking temperatures, asking the screening questions as well. Those will continue, obviously, for all of our student athletes and also all of our staff that enter in.
Any other questions, board members, or comments? Because I've got a couple, I guess I'd just like to mention. First of all, when Des asked about fans, is there a consideration at all to allow a radio station or sports zone into the gym to potentially broadcast live?
So I've not had those conversations. The conversations I have had with their CTE department and actually Miss Martin about a month ago about possibly getting some of our students to broadcast that. I know that currently through NCAA and also some of the professional venues, those broadcasters are actually broadcasting from a different location. They're not actually in person, but that's something that I will talk to them about. I know the original protocols that they put in place, that was a level 3, level 1 being just workouts, level 2 being able to ball handle, and level 3 being essential personnel competition, and essential personnel also included the video, or excuse me, not videoing, but the broadcast of athletics. And so my initial response without asking directly, because so much has changed since the initial protocols came out, it would be yes, but I will certainly follow up to ensure that that is the case.
Okay, and if that is the case, then we can maybe, if it happens to move forward, then notification to KXAZ and maybe even Sports Zone might be in order, just to see if they're interested.
And I know they have. They've reached out already,
Right.
and they'll do everything they can to support. They typically are very strong supporters of the
Right.
North. They call it Northern basketball. It's 1A, 2A, and 3A. And with most of those schools not participating, their clientele is very limited, basically to us and everything north of the 40 outside of Winslow and Holbrook.
Right. Okay. The other thing I'd just like to, bring out is the fact that there's been basketball competition in the Valley going on for, all summer with teams coming in from all over the United States. And the other part is, and I understand, and I think you and I heard some conversation that you brought up in terms of some research in terms of the safety protocols and how effective they've been across the board, and some reports that you had seen and read. So
Yeah.
those are normally pretty positive.
Yeah, I believe the University of Minnesota has come out with a preliminary report that speaks to student athletes do not incur additional risk compared to their peers who do not participate in athletics. It's not been peer reviewed at this point, but you can imagine that athletic directors and others are running with that. I'm
Sure.
more of a cautious approach. Let's have
Right,
it peer
right.
reviewed, but most of the information that's coming out is that our student athletes are as safe in a gym, if not safer than they would be in the classroom, going from classroom to classroom.
Okay. And like I said, in the dry run that you've had with the practices and stuff, that's been positive.
Yeah, we've had during that dry run anywhere between 15 and 20 girls, and we had about 8 boys who came for those practices. The protocols that we had in place at that time was to have cohorts. So our girls did not practice on the basketball court the same time the boys did, even though there was an open court next to them. They utilized 2 courts, they spread out significantly. And then one team would go into the weight room, or they would go do some conditioning drills, and then they would flip flop. And that would be similar protocols moving forward. If this goes through, to put that in place, that we would have cohorts practicing together. JV and varsity would not practice with one another. They would not play games with one another, to eliminate the risk and mitigate as much as we can to keep cohorts together, including coaches as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any further questions or comments from the board? All right. Well, we have a motion. We do have a second. So I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And all opposed? Okay. I don't have my full screen, so I didn't see any hands up. Was that unanimous, or did you see that, Lynn? Okay, very good. Okay, so the motion is passed, and so we'll look forward to hearing from you in terms of again, I know it's a lot of comment on this issue, and appreciate all the comments that were made from our community. And but appreciate all your work, Ernie, in putting this together and working with the athletic directors and literally statewide, and then again with our 3A North folks too. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. Okay, moving on to item number C, a request to be released from certified contract submitted by Marianne Pierce. This would be a breach of contract for the 2020-2021 school year. This is an action item, and appreciate a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion to approve the request to be released from the certified contract submitted by Marianne Pierce.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jim, Terry?
You're on mute. Sorry.
Thank you. I'll let Mr. Maurer speak to this, but my understanding, it's just an effort to be consistent with the decision the board made early in the year and how to deal with contracts this year.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Good evening, Governing Board President and Governing Board members, Superintendent Walker. This is consistent with our practice over the past couple of resignations that we've had from the certified staff. It keeps in line with honoring the work that's been done, but then also what we're working towards moving forward and getting our budget tightened up. And at the same time, we are working with the site on covering the students and making sure their educational experience moves forward at the pace with which we would have a certified teacher in there.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Maurer. Okay, we do have a motion and a second, but anyone have any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is, yes.
Question. I'm sorry. Lynn, can you repeat the recommendation? I just want to make sure that it's what I'm reading here.
Okay, the actual motion that was made was a motion to approve the request to be released from certified contract submitted by Marianne Pierce. We also want to make sure, I think, that
Yes.
the language is included that the district will waive the liquidated damages fee.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can
Thank
we
you,
add
Des.
that, please? Thank you.
Yes, I'll add that in.
Okay. And I'm in approval, motion to approve, or
Yeah.
what is it? Yes. Yes.
Thank you. All right, item D is job description for teacher, native language, and culture. This is an action item. We need a motion and a second. And this is for the job description.
I make a recommendation that the governing board, am I in the right place? Yep. Approve the job description as submitted.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. And Dr. Maurer.
Good evening. This is in keeping in line with the wishes of the governing board and Superintendent Wallen when we're looking at expanding our native language and culture program across the district. This is not a position request. This is simply just the job description as we start gearing up and looking towards 2021 and 2022 as we move forward.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. No further questions. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. Next is the coordinator of native language and cultural programs. This is a motion, an action. So please, we need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the hiring of Lionel So as a coordinator of native language and cultural programs for the remainder of the 2020 and through the 2021 school year.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Walker and Dr. Maurer.
Good evening. So we went through the process of posting the position. We advertised across the Navajo Nation, the Four Corners, and most of the West Coast. We extended the deadline by almost a full week in order to capture significantly more applicants, as we had had quite a few phone calls. In the context of that, we had approximately 15 applicants. We interviewed 6 highly qualified applicants, and in that process, Mr. So rose to the top. Mr. Wallen was agreeable, and that's where the recommendation comes from, that this gentleman will be able to lead the program moving forward into the next years.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Maurer. Any comments, questions for Dr. Maurer or comments? Not hearing any, I'll say one thing. It's always nice to see a Page alum. And I believe that's what we have here, rise to the cream of the crop. And I'm very familiar with Mr. So, and thank you for the work that your committee did to recommend Mr. So. Never mind. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. And welcome Mr. So to the staff. Next item, interim contract for Mr. Jim Walker. And this is an action item. Need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the interim contract for Mr. Jim Walker.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I'll say just really happy on behalf of the board to, and again, we got to credit Mr. Hubbard, our attorney, for putting together very quickly and in a very timely manner to really meet the need of the district. And he put the contract together, and Mr. Walker and I just had a communication and came to an agreement. I hope you had a chance to take a look at it. Very simple. I think it was a one-page form and an agreement. And so any comments or questions from the board on this?
Nope.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you much. Next is just an informational item, and it's a COVID update by Mr. Walker. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Just a quick update. Had a chance to meet with the district COVID team last week, and we have another meeting Thursday. And what we're working on right now is trying to get out a press release that we can communicate across different platforms to all the stakeholders, all the staff, describing what it's going to look when they come back second semester. The plan right now is we'll be 2 weeks of remote. We'll have a chance during those 2 weeks to look at our data, see where we're at. And Mr. Wallen has expressed the intent of, as soon as possible, we want to get kids back in the classroom, back engaged with activities in a school setting. But we want staff to know what that's going to look like, and community to look what that's going to look like as soon as we get back from Christmas break.
Okay. Really, really good. All right. Any other comments in terms of or any comments on your behalf?
I have a
Um,
question.
Yeah, Sandra.
So what start date are we possibly looking at for in person? Would that be
Well,
the 18th? No, the 19th?
I don't have a calendar in front of me. I think the school starts on the 4th after the break. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then the 18th is Martin Luther King Day. That's usually off, right?
I think so. So it'd be
So it
a
would
Tuesday,
be possibly
and
the 19th.
that'd be dictated by data.
You're right. Okay, thank you.
And then the only thing I'll add is perhaps we can meet once again with
Thank you.
the community collaborative group that we've got put together with Encompass and Canyonlands and the various medical facilities in Tuba City and those guys. So we may see if we can get that team together, just to have a meeting and kind of an update from them as well as we come back after the Christmas. There are a lot of expectations for Christmas as well, much like there were for Thanksgiving. So we want to get through those things as well as possible for everybody. And so, all right. Well, very good. Next item, then we'll move on to future items. And again, if you have anything on your mind, you can let it be known. Talk to me or Ms. Hoffman, and we can get those on the future item list. Unless you have something right now burning in your mind you'd want to mention.
We do not have a study session, right, for the month of December?
Yes, not
No, we
for
don't.
December. No, we've got one January 26th.
Okay, and then, all right. Just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we've got time. Whole fresh new year
No,
20. Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna
Sandra?
say this is our last meeting of the year today.
It is.
Unless you call any special, meetings.
Okay. And I don't foresee that at all. I'm just going to be happy for our next one and say bye 2020. I want to be just happy to say, wow, this has been quite a year, and with everybody else. So anyway, okay. So we come to our last item, an adjournment. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion to adjourn at 6:36 p.m.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, board member.